What's going on, guys? My name is El De Niro, and welcome to WWP. Today, we're going to be talking about something that isn't WWE for the first time ever on this podcast, and it's something that we're pretty excited about. I am joined today by the Microsoft Office 24/7 champion. It's Miguel.
Me. Thank you very much. We have actually done WCW, but don't worry about that.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
It's coming, but that's in the future. Yes. So we decided to do a lovely EP about the hottest wrestling company in the world, All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah, and they had their recent pay-per-view. W
All
or nothing.
Out. All Out. Oh no, that's the original. Never mind. Yeah. Double or something else.
It should be called W or AEW or nothing. You know,
yeah.
I mean, come on. I can't come up with all the ideas around here.
As in, like, wrestling or nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
All
even
Elite
understand.
Wrestling or nothing.
What is the name all about? Is it the fact that, like, three of the main events, I guess, are all, like, rematches? Is that what it is? It's double or nothing? Is that the theme? I don't really get it.
I guess it's a Vegas thing. You double down?
Yeah, but it has to have some significance to the actual thing, though, doesn't it? Like, why is it not just called A Night with the Jersey Devil? No, I don't know. Yeah.
AEW Paycheck.
That would be
live on
pay-per-view.
I don't know why it's called Double or Nothing, unless it's a reference to All In. So now they're doubling or they're going back to nothing.
Ah, yes. Oh, that probably is what it is. Yeah, All In, Double or Nothing. That makes perfect sense. Ah, yes. Look at that. Figuring things out on stream. That's what it's about.
Amazing. You're twice in.
Yes.
Or you're not in at all. You're nothing.
That's it.
No middle ground. Even though I'm one of the people who's actually only watched one. So I'm half or nothing. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're not going to give you a match-by-match review because everybody's probably already done that. We're just going to give you our thoughts, kind of a recap sort of situation so that you have seen it. Let us know what you thought of it. Let us know if you liked it or if it's like, are you the wrestling fan that goes, I didn't like most of it because I didn't know what was going on, or did you follow the indies? Just, let us know your thoughts, good, bad, Omega, Alpha, you say it.
Ooh, nice.
Yes. So just to get this out of the way, did you, and I know the answer to this, did you watch the pre-show?
Oh, yes, I did, my friend. Yes, I did.
All about that ITV4 pre-show.
Yeah. I was born on ITV4. No, I certainly did not watch the pre-show. I understand there was a 21-man casino battle royale.
Yes, and I don't know if they explained the rules or something, or I wasn't paying attention, but there was it was a card-based system. So instead of having one person come out at a time, you'd get 4 or 5 people coming out at once.
Ah.
So you had people like Billy Gunn, the one and only.
I've heard of him.
You had Tommy Dreamer there. You had I'm talking about the names that people would recognize from elsewhere. We had your boy Glacier, the one and only. Glacier from WCW was there.
How old is this man at this point?
He's in his 50s.
Wow, nice.
He picked... I mean, I'm sure people have probably said this before, but why did he have to pick, Sub-Zero's brother's outfit from Mortal Kombat 3? Why couldn't he have just been the actual, I guess, copyright?
Yeah.
Answers that one. Does the name Sean Spears mean anything to you?
I just want to go back to Glacier real quick. I think
Yes.
I think we could do an entire podcast about Glacier.
The entrance, because I don't remember anything else.
The entire fucking gimmick and how it did not work and just,
It was, because wasn't, oh God, I was just already getting bogged down on something else, but wasn't WCW on after Mortal Kombat or before? I'm
not sure, to be honest.
So, when I used to get ripped versions of it, pre-WWE Network...
You're such a gangster.
OG. I always remember the person who would record, because these are like VCR rips. It would always have the Mortal Kombat logo right at the beginning for about 3 seconds.
Yeah.
The dragon in the Mortal Kombat. Yeah. But yes, Glacier, and like he's an interesting one because he's like the hipsters WCW wrestler. Like if
Oh, absolutely,
you
yeah.
know what we're talking about. And if you don't know, just type Glacier entrance, and we won't wait, but you can just pause and then come back, and
Yeah.
you'll thank us for it.
Yeah.
We also had. Does the name Sean Spears mean anything to you?
So no, I don't think so. But the more I think about it, the more I could maybe. Is it Spiers?
Spears.
Okay. No, I don't think so. But maybe.
That's the former WWE star Ty Dillinger. Not Ty Dillinger. God, there's so many people with these like normal names.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ty Dillinger. Yes, the Perfect
Wow.
10.
Okay.
That guy. Yes. He made his debut as well post being released from WWE. We also had a guy, I'm going to butcher his name, Luchasaurus.
Okay. That sounds pretty fair.
He was in WWE briefly in NXT, and he was also in Big Brother in America.
Nice.
So
The
he was
trifecta of indie shows.
he's made it. But yeah, you had a bunch of other people, which to be quite honest with you, besides Hangman Adam Page as well, I hadn't heard of too many people. There was it was a pretty jokey match. There was no spots in it. I don't know if people who watched this would have been interested to buy the show, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
Oh, Brian Pillman Jr. was there as well.
I also
Uh,
saw that Jimmy Havoc was there, who I
yes.
believe uh, was he on Progress for a while?
Yes, he was
Yeah,
a world champion,
yeah,
inverted commas,
yeah.
world. Um, yeah, so I think it was just like a fun little match for people to get their pops in and maybe see people that you'll see. Because I reckon in the main card, you're probably going to get a lot of people you're not going to see. So some of these people might stick around. So it's good as an introduction. I can see why people didn't like it. I honestly didn't give a shit. Oh, there's also a guy in it that didn't have any legs, and I don't know any other way to say it besides that. And I didn't even catch his name, but he did like he did a 619, which looks pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so because they're kind of putting out there that they're very inclusive, in which we had a transgender wrestler later on. A lot of open-mindedness when it comes to this company, which I think is good in terms of people and characters. But obviously, it's the danger with this is that it's men booking these things, and you have to be very conscious when you're doing storylines with certain people. Not that I'm saying you can't say certain things. Sponsors will take care of that. But just don't put them out there as a circus freak attraction.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's a fair enough shout. Yeah, so that was the pre-show, and hilariously enough, it ended like with Cody mid-promo, which is funny. He took a shot at WWE. He said, we have 20,000 people here, and I think Kenny Omega then said, actually, we have about 11 or 13. I can't remember what number he said. He's like,
12.
well,
It's
don't
12.
worry. Yeah, and he goes, don't worry, we'll round up. Isn't that what we do in the wrestling business? And I guffawed at the dig that they did at WWE. Not the first, not the last, but certainly a funny one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in the main show, the pay-per-view was 4 hours long, which some people say that's too much. So
Yes.
I said it's too much, but I watched it with people, so I didn't have to sit through it by myself, thankfully.
I think it's too much. But I also don't think that this show is. I'm not the target audience of AEW. Like, I'm barely the fucking target audience of WWE. I just don't have the time to watch this much wrestling, and I certainly don't have 4 hours to be putting aside to watch a bunch of people who largely I'm not familiar with. That's not a slight. That's not anything like that. That's just like the reality of how difficult it is going to be for this company to reach the masses, considering WWE is losing numbers left, right, and center, and they still have huge attractions such as The Undertaker and Goldberg, and things like that.
And
So
dancing Brock Lesnar.
dancing Brock Lesnar, indeed, and like, yeah, we joke, but like Brock Lesnar is the biggest draw in the Fed by a long way, and has been for several years. So it's I don't know, like it's tough times for wrestling. I guess we'll probably talk about the bigger question later on, which is this a competition to WWE, and where its place is in the legacy of wrestling shows around the world and things like that. But 4 hours is just, it's a long fucking time. You know what I mean?
hmm I was expecting it to be for free, to be honest with you. And I obviously I downloaded it, didn't pay the $150. Actually, no, I did pay. I'd always pay. I never torrent ever, and nor should anyone. And I just thought, Jesus Christ, okay, 4 hour show. Is this going to be like WrestleMania where like it's just too much or not? But doesn't matter. Yeah. So let's just talk about sort of the presentation.
Yeah.
What did you think of the set, the announcers, the camera work, anything that kind of came to mind during the show, or did it feel like you're watching like WWE level production? What did you think of that?
It felt like I was watching something like WWE, but something that was also refreshingly not like WWE. I've spoken many times on this podcast about my love for the aesthetic of WCW and the fact that it was like WWE but different. It was a little bit more raggedy, a little bit more fight like, and a little bit more of a spectacle in a traditional sense and less of an entertainment sense. Um, this kind of gave me that. Like the set was really cool with all the poker chips and things like that. The props that they had were really nice. Seeing JR on commentary is always good. Having one commentator with a mask is kind of weird, but like whatever, that's fine. I like the way they talked about everything. It made it feel more real to me as a guy who hasn't seen any of these, not any of them, but like most of these people before,
Hmm.
particularly with SoCal Uncensored versus the Strong Hearts. There was something about that and the way the commentators sold it that was particularly refreshing. I didn't really think much of the match itself, but like I was able to get into it as an event just purely because of how they presented it, and I think that that's really important, and I think that that's like an underrated thing in wrestling because I always harp on about Michael Cole and his inability to actually call a wrestling match when he sees it. Like he doesn't know the moves, he doesn't know why they
Yeah.
apply them, he doesn't do things like this. But in AEW, they were very upfront about stuff like that, saying like, "Oh well, this guy has experience in this, and he's known for his heavy striking, and this guy is famous for these particular move sets, and that's why this is an interesting matchup." And like that shit is really fucking important. That's like a lost art in the Fed at the moment. This is something that they just pay no attention to, and it's really good to see a company step up and do things like that. So I was really happy with it, honestly, the way that it looked and sounded and
Okay.
stuff.
I
Um,
yeah, I quite like the. It does harken back to WCWD, or maybe they only did this for Halloween Havoc, but the show specific sets, because WB has kind of done away with that
yeah,
several years ago. Like Raw looks the same as SmackDown, looks the same as Backlash, looks the same as Roadblock. Like it all looks the same.
yeah,
Maybe Roadblock will have like a little car on the side, but
yeah,
generally speaking, WWE pay-per-views look about the same, other than the color scheme. So I kind of like the fact that they like it looked different. Um, I thought the commentary, like, so Excalibur was really good, surprisingly really good, because I thought he was going to be like a gimmick, like trying to get himself over,
yeah.
but he was fucking good. JR kind of struggled with the first half of the show.
Yes, I
I
agree.
think so. I think he kind of was trying to say stuff, and they had the other guy, Alex. I can't remember his name, but he's like from.
Mares or something.
Yeah, he looked a little bit lost. He
Yeah,
looked
I think so
only when they were
too.
talking to the camera. I thought in commentary, like his commentary was quite good because he was like the subdued sort of color guy, stroke a bit of play-by-play, and yet Excalibur giving you all the this guy's been here, and that's to your point as well that WWE is buzzwords. This guy is listing accomplishments and achievements, which sometimes actually can get a bit in the way because it's
Hmm.
like there's a lot happening in the ring, dude. Like I don't know how this guy did in the fucking tri-state college wrestling,
Yeah,
fucking hip hop street yo mama diss battle in 1996. I don't want to know, but at the same time, I think watching it again, it's good to know that these people are accomplished elsewhere, whether it's different companies that people definitely who are the audience have actually heard of, or even like other sports that they're good at.
hmm,
So I thought that was quite impressive. Like I said, like JR came into his own around the time that we had the Dusty Cody match. Dustin, sorry. Fucking
yeah.
Dusty, Jesus.
You know what
Yeah.
though? I think that was kind of the point where Marvez stepped back a little bit and let JR
Yes.
come into the forefront because it was um it was, what's the word? It was bigged up in commentary that JR knows these men really well. He's very familiar with the history of them. He's worked with them for so long, and JR had a lot to say about that.
Hmm.
And I think just before he kind of didn't, you know.
Yes, yeah, he didn't have any emotional connection, and JR kind of, his good friends with Austin and all the boys in the late 90s, which is why, because, like, not a lot of people talk about it, but, like, there's a second half of JR's career, because he stopped being full-time commentator, I think it's '08 or '09, and around sort of 2005 and 6, going in 2007 and 8, like, whenever his boys, they weren't his boys in that sense, but like Edge or Jeff Hardy, because he knew them from back then, he would give it socks. But I think that he got a little bit, what's the word, complacent.
Yeah,
His
yeah,
calling, which is understandable because they were putting out some proper shit in some of those times as well,
yeah.
which himself was a victim of a lot of the time. Part of the joke, but I thought it was great having JR. What you're doing there is you got a familiar voice, and I know that you shouldn't always harping back to the past, but they found a good mix of past, present, and future, in my opinion, in
I
commentary.
agree. Yeah, completely.
I hope Jim sticks around. Hope Excalibur sticks around. I could take it or leave it with the other lad, but I thought that even him, I suppose you need to praise him retrospectively for taking it back, like knowingly taking a back seat and not speaking over Jim or Excalibur towards the end of the show.
Yeah.
I thought the camera work was very shoddy, though. Now, I'm not trying to be like, because listen, I just want to say this. All this is critiqued by people who don't do it. So, obviously, I'm no better at it than they are. They did their best, and that goes without saying. But one of the things that properly annoyed me was the fact that Bret Hart never showed the belt to the hard camera.
Yes. Oh my god, I was fucking screaming at the
Say,
TV.
look at me! No, look at us! Look at the camera!
I just wanted to see the fucking belt.
I went full Batista. Give me what I want! Just said that about 4 times.
Batista
Hunter.
bombed the laptop.
Yeah. Hunter, you can kiss my ass. Yeah, so that was really annoying because he did it to the side, he did it to the fans, he did it to the other side, and you think, okay, now do it to us. We need to see it. Because, by the way, I saw a picture of the belt. I think Cody put up a little bit of footage as well on his Twitter, and the belt is actually quite cool.
Yeah, it's nice.
The logo is a bit like it feels like the logo just been shat on the front. AEW,
Yeah.
but that's marketing.
I completely agree with you. The logo is cheap, but the belt itself is great.
It looks like a gorgeous title, and yeah, I thought that was quite nice. But yeah, the camera kept cutting too quickly from crowd to people, people to crowd, and it missed certain spots, especially during the Battle Royal, but it did improve as it went on. We had a little bit of awkward dead air. I don't know if you noticed that as well. Just before the Dusty Dustin match, I think JR is kind of looking around like,
yeah.
not too sure we're supposed to go here, folks.
He was like, I think, are we going to something very personal or something like that?
Yes, and then there was that bit where the other guy was like, does it make you uncomfortable, JR? By God, it makes me uncomfortable. And I thought that he meant the pause was uncomfortable, and I was like, holy shit, they're falling out. But they actually meant the feud is uncomfortable. Again, maybe you wouldn't see that in WWE, because in WWE, despite saying nothing, they never have dead air or general, like, what are we doing here these days? It's very tightly run. But again, new company, I'm sure, and here's the thing as well, I'm sure no one was going up to JR and going, here's your notes for tonight. Like, I'm pretty sure he was going, I think I got this.
Sometimes in WWE they do, when they cut to a break in the middle of a match, it doesn't cut, and when they come back from a break in the middle of a match, it's like that. You do get a little bit of dead air during those kinds of times, like Cole
like 5 seconds in, and then welcome back.
Yeah.
Yes, you do get that occasionally, I suppose. But never from like they're facing the camera and there's like a segment. They don't know what the next segment is. Like
their
very
transitions are smooth as fuck.
Yeah. And there's also a 74-year-old man screaming down their ear.
Yeah.
So
I did like the camera, like the hard cam that zoomed in before and after matches. I think that was done really well. I don't know if the Fed does that. Like, I literally can't fucking picture if I've ever seen that before, but it was something that I took note of. It's like, it reminds me of like Champions League. They do that during football sometimes, but yeah, it was
You'll.
good.
I think the person that will do that is Adam Cole, because when he says Adam Cole, baby, the camera kind of zooms back and you get the whole audience doing it. But that's NXT mainly.
Mm.
So yeah, I thought overall, like I said, presentation was quite good. Everyone had entrance themes. Jericho had to get himself over by putting his own little "I am Judas," his little theme song.
Yeah.
But yeah, so from that perspective, I thought the video packages were quite good as well. I think. Not too big on backstage segments,
Yeah.
but there's that weird one between the librarian and the other librarian, and I think that's like a thing that's on the Elite YouTube channel, being the Elite, which
Okay.
went over my head because I had no
Yeah.
idea what the fuck was happening there.
Likewise.
Mm. So yes, that's kind of the presentation. I thought they should keep doing what they're doing because they hit that perfect spot, in my opinion, between like it's sports entertainment, but it's a sport. It's not just entertainment. So there was funny spots in certain matches, there were serious spots in others, but overall it felt like you were watching the whole show felt like it was going somewhere. Where sometimes you watch wrestling and wins and losses don't matter. Maybe at least the second half of the show, wins and losses did matter.
Yeah.
So should we talk about the bad first? Get that out of the way.
Yeah, I don't really have like I have a lot of obviously subjective things that I didn't like about it, but I don't think many people will be able to relate to them. But I will say this: it was very, very slow to start, and there were moments in it that felt very obviously choreographed, but not even choreographed well.
In matches, you mean, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. Particularly
Yeah.
that for the 6-man tag at the start, the SoCal Strong Hearts,
Mhm.
it just did not feel like they were all on the same wavelength. Like it was a good match, don't get me wrong, but just there was awkward moments. There's a thing that I don't like about wrestling that it doesn't really happen in the Fed that much anymore, but in non WWE promotions, it's like a really crucial part of wrestling, and that's when they do the headlock to show a strength, and then they do the you run off the ropes, and I'll jump on the ground, and you jump over me, and then when you run back, I'll jump up in the air, and you run under. Like I think that that's shit. I fucking hate that. That whole fucking setup thing makes me cringe so hard. I have no idea why they do it. If I'm showing wrestling to someone and I'm trying to make them see why it's cool, that part there is the most difficult fucking thing to explain to anybody. Like it just
Yeah.
makes no fucking sense. And I felt like those types of things were done very slowly in the first like 2 or 3 matches. I can't remember exactly. Definitely in the best friends match and in the SoCal match.
Mm.
Those little bits were just. I just feel like these guys didn't seem to have that great of a level of chemistry or something. But that might
Like
just
they
be.
met that fucking day, like
Yeah, exactly.
backstage. Is it
Yeah,
me and you? Yeah, it's me and you. Let's go. Okay. Let's
yeah.
fucking fight. Yes, there was a feeling of that as well. And like, because obviously I know Daniels and Christopher Daniels and Kazarian.
Mm.
I hadn't heard of Scorpio Sky at that. I think I've heard the name, but I don't know if I've seen him ever. He's that dude's athletic AF.
He's fucking
But
awesome. Yeah.
yes, I would agree with you that there was I mean, listen, another thing I want to bring up is the fucking botched finish in the 6-woman tag team match.
I'd be honest with
Uh,
you, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to that
they
match.
fucking rung the bell about 2 moves before the finish.
Oh Jesus!
So the finish comes in and everyone's kind of going, "You fucked up," and yeah, never got over.
Ouch!
I thought the women's fatal 4-way was really awkward because they had already one bigger person in there as like the sort of knock me down spots with
Mm-hmm.
Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose?
Nyla Rose was
Yeah.
the larger
Yeah.
athlete. Yeah.
And then you had Britt Baker, Dr. Britt
Yeah,
Baker,
she was really good. I was actually like really impressed with her.
and Kylie Ray, Smiley Kylie Ray, who was Blue Pants in WWE briefly
Oh, okay.
in NXT. And then you had Awesome Kong. Now, introducing Awesome Kong, like, by the way, I'm not going by my match by match. It's just the one I happen to be complaining about for
Yeah.
the opener. But I thought that Awesome Kong either couldn't go or they're saving her for a bigger match and just wanted to get the other three, kind of over first and then build your way up to Awesome Kong. Obviously we're going to have a women's division. Obviously they're going to start getting, a roster of women. Brandy presumably will wrestle at some point as well. She has a nice spear, but I'll talk about that in the good side.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that match was a little bit awkward. I've literally never heard of the Best Friends, and that didn't help either because it's like there's no video packages. So while I did praise the video packages that they had, I thought they were going to do a whole, like, maybe when they're coming out, you get the insert promo picture-in-picture, like, oh, we're, I'm this guy, and he's this guy, and we're blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yet nothing was explained.
Man,
so
I think, like, just the Best Friends is the fucking lamest name for a tag team ever. And
it
like,
is meant to be ironic.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is it, like, as a person who's never seen any of their stuff, like, I can tell that, right? But it does not come off. If you don't have, like, a video package or you have no kind of basis for who they are, like, they just seem like a non-entity who's trying something that's not coming off. You know what I mean? Like, there's no room for that kind of gimmick to breathe in an arena where all you're doing is turning up for a match. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
You've got to establish, like, okay, so you're best of friends. Like, the Iconics, I suppose, are a comparison in the sense that, like, oh, they're best buddies tag team as well. And I guess the Young Bucks to some extent as well, where it's like they are actually proper, inseparable people. And these two is like, I don't even know if these people have fucking met each other. Presumably they had, but there you go.
Yeah, this seemed, honestly, this is gonna get me a lot of hate by, the 0.5 person who comments on an average episode of this, but it seemed like a fucking, I don't know, like a meta Billy and Chuck or something, like a self-aware Billy and Chuck or something like that.
Yeah, or just, yeah, or their gimmick was over somewhere else and I just didn't see it. But I did not get it, and you shouldn't have to ask me to try and find out a reason to like or dislike these people. You know what I mean? So I also did not like the bum out spot with Cody and Dustin. Didn't need that. I thought it was meant to be a blood feud. Why is he like whipping his bum? Like, what's all that about?
I gotta show something for the lady. I don't know.
Bit of whooping.
Yeah.
That match did not need that. I mean, this is actually kind of funny, but it was a bit amateurish. That massive barrel they had in the ring that Jericho had to move.
Yeah.
As well. That didn't make any fucking sense.
I was very surprised by that, yes.
Yeah. But I must say, though, all the criticisms that I have, no way made the show, like, at least good to great, I gotta say.
I have a couple of other things that I think, again, will land. These are debatable points and based on preference, right? But it seemed to me that in a couple of the matches, they really fucking overdid it with the finishers and the people kicking out of finishers.
False finish just like mad, right? Yes,
but
yes.
It made the matches so obvious. Like if Cody kicked out of one more fucking crossroads, I swear to God, I was going to turn the thing off. Like, I just couldn't. It just made it so obvious what was going to happen the whole time. And it's very... I just feel like one of the main criticisms against WWE at the moment, which is not necessarily one that I subscribe to, but it is one that nowadays it's a finisher fest and people kick out of finishers and they shouldn't do that. And so I'm perplexed to find people cheering and on the edge of their seat, especially, like, particularly the anti-WWE guys who want something new and something fresh, to see them buying this in...
Marking out the exact same things they complain about.
The fucking, like... The penta driver on the ring apron was absolutely insane, and then he followed up into an even better penta driver, and then the guy just fucking kicks out of it, and like there was nothing that they could do, and then like the one-armed Meltzer driver at the end of that by the Young Bucks. Like,
did that look fake as fuck to you? Because I was giving out to my friends. I'm like, he's clearly hugging him back on the sort of tombstone position, obviously, but I'm like, he slips. If he's got one arm, he cannot get round them. Therefore, your arm needs to be super tight and strong. Yeah. And I know, listen, the whole thing is predicated on kayfabe. So if I push you off the ropes and you run, that's already disbelief. So you have to already buy into that to buy in the whole thing. But it reminds me of Ring of Honor. Sorry to just hijacking a point, but it reminds me
Nah.
very much of Ring of Honor. And one of my friends and I talked about this, where they'd be like, my God, a triple moonsault backwards into a DDT, into a powerbomb, 2-2-2, and the guy fucking loses to a fucking schoolboy.
Yes,
You
that's
know?
exactly the. Yeah, it is exactly
Because they've
that
run out
kind
of
of.
spots.
Yeah, it's like ham-fisted booking almost because your match
Mm-hmm.
has hit all of the beats and then there's kind of nowhere to go after that. Yeah, I completely fucking agree with that, and I feel like that's going to be the same thing with the next. Like, I feel like this AEW production was pretty safe in terms of what it did. I think there's no way that the fans weren't going to be pleased with what they had. It didn't take any risks as such, and everything it did was like obviously good. This is a showcase of like some of the best talent in the world. There is no denying that. But my point is that I would get sick of this very quickly. And that one-armed Meltzer
Yes.
driver thing, if John Cena like took basically if commentary announced in the middle of a match that John Cena got his arm broken, and I actually know this for a fact because this is demonstrably true. That his arm was broken, and he still managed to pull off an F5 and get the win after kicking out of 3 of the opponent's finishers. People would lose their fucking minds over that, and I know this because it has happened multiple times.
Mhm.
Like, it's just
Yeah.
I don't know. This
Are
is such
are
a
people more forgiving because they're a new company though? And I suppose, and this will come up in the positives as well. It's also to showcase, but it's
yeah
also to have a good match. It's. I mean, I will say though, the Young Bucks are very much they're Marmite. Like you love them or you hate them. I think
yeah
you can be in the camp of like the Jim Cornettes, the world, who are like flippity do, flippity die, and you're like they do flip a lot for sure, and they
yeah
do a lot of moves for sure.
Super Kick
Or
City.
yeah, or you can be on the other side, which goes everything that these people are doing. And by the way, same for the Lucha Bros. Like big ups for them. Like I fucking love Pentagon. Is it Pentagon Junior?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of his too.
I've seen him in TNA and in Lucha Underground. So
Yeah,
I've
he was
actually
fucking great in Lucha Underground. That was when I
he
first saw
was.
him. Yeah, I couldn't believe how
And
good he was.
the fucking zero miedo is an amazing catchphrase. That's a marketable thing
Yeah.
because you zero in the M, and it's fucking great, and the look is great. Like, a man loves and respects Sugar Skull so much that he has it in his own body. So, gotta give props to someone who puts it on their actual head. And
You gotta shout out my boy. Oh, who's the fucking guy who used to come out in WCW and play the chair like it's an electric guitar?
La Parca.
Yeah, La Parca. Yeah, you gotta shout him out as well for
Yes, the evolution of the masked sort of
Yeah.
luchador, but like this sort of the evil masked luchador. Those guys are baby faces, but you get the idea that they have evil in them.
Yes.
And yeah, so the Young Bucks are very very like fit. You either love them or you hate them. But I thought that really it just would have been nice to either get video packages to some of these people, why some of these people are feuding, or just an idea of who they are. Unless they're kind of hoping like, well, you've already bought the show and you're going to keep watching now because you've seen all these amazing things, so you get to know these people as time goes on to the TV show and the next 2 pay-per-views. They've already got two pay-per-views lined up after this as well,
Yeah.
on July and one in August. So, but it's weird because the tag team match that Cody spoke to Goldust about is actually going to be not on the next pay-per-view, but the one after.
They can work around that though.
Brett was a bit confused as to when the next pay-per-view was. He's like, the World Champion will be crowding up a couple of weeks. But again, the man's a fucking cancer, stroke, fan attack survivor, so like you can't be too harsh on
The
him.
man's a Goldberg kick to the head survivor.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's been through the fucking ringer.
Yeah.
So you can't really, even though we did, but you can't attack Brett for that.
He's Bret Hart, so
You
fuck
can
off.
go after him for saying like the Hell in a Cell was 4 out of 10 if you want. That's opinion based, but like like the man's lived a life. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talk about what we did like then.
I didn't like anything about it. Nah.
Hang on, but actually speaking, how did you feel about the smashing the sledgehammer when Cody came out and hitting it and breaking the? I mean, it's Triple H's throne.
Yeah.
Shitty version of Triple H. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, it was good. I think it was good. I think it was not like what's the word I'm looking for here? So I think it was kind of a diplomatic sentiment as opposed to an outright aggressive and arrogant one, if you know what I mean.
This
Um,
wasn't TNA saying, "Look at us, WWE, look at us." Like,
yeah,
because you can't do that because you come across very second rate because you're too concerned about what they're doing.
exactly. And I think it also has its place within the confines of the feud itself because it's like Goldust sits on that throne. He comes from the Attitude Era. Cody wants to shatter the Attitude Era. He wants to get rid of that generation. He wants to say that he is the new generation, and therefore he's smashing the throne for that reason too. Like I think it's just something that it doesn't necessarily have to be an act of warfare or anything like that. I did actually like that. That was one of the things that I liked. I liked the double Northern Lights suplex in the SoCal match.
Yes.
I liked the fucking 720 splash or whatever it was in the Best Friends.
Well, Jack Evans, he's
Yeah.
fucking great. Yeah.
Um, I just really like Goldust. I cannot believe the man is 65 years old and he's still out there.
His face is definitely his age, but his
Yeah.
body and his sort of psychology and the movement is like this dude was getting beaten up in fucking 1988 by like Bruiser Brody as a jobber.
Yeah.
1988, like
Yeah, he got
he's
released in like 2007 and he said he would work free for 2 months if they kept him and they still released him. And then he came back later on and he was in like the best shape of his entire life. So he's
he's been in every company. I mean WWE, ECW, if you think about it. He had a dip, and by the way, he's been fired by WWE like 4 times
yeah,
in
yeah,
like 5 years.
in WCW as well.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he also, I mean, the guy was fucked up. Like, you're not allowed to mention Black Rain to him on Twitter. He will block you because that was a very dark time in his life, scrambling on the floor looking for pills, like low. So,
Yeah.
man turned his life around. I think that the paint looked fucking awesome, but then on the flip side, maybe don't do red if you're gonna bleed so much. Like, you should have done it.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be gold either. Name a color that isn't red. Do that because it looked kind of gross. Where it's like, is that the paint or the blood? I like the blood. You don't see that much in wrestling, so having a bloodbath was pretty cool, and it's kind of a throwback,
Yeah.
and it added to the intensity of the match as well. Like, goes without saying. So yeah, just more on stuff that I did like as well. Like, I fucking love Jericho Omega.
Man, the way Omega sells the code breaker is literally the best in the entire industry.
He made Jericho look fucking great.
Yeah.
And Jericho doesn't need to be made to look great, obviously, but it does help. Like, and cheeky Chris Jericho coming up with a finisher that he doesn't have to take a bump now that he's getting older.
Yeah, yeah.
The Judas effect.
Also,
It's the fucking elbow, like.
yeah, but they did a really good job on commentary of selling that as a move when
Yes.
the guy fucking Riyad Mahrez on commentary there.
Not JR.
Yeah. He talked about the way he was able to move his hips and then extend the arm to get
Yes.
the most amount of pressure. Like, that's fucking good. That's the shit that we need in wrestling commentary. Like, that's what's sorely missing.
Yes.
So that was really good.
You don't see anyone, because I suppose, especially, again, we shouldn't be comparing WWE because they're not trying to be WWE, but let's compare it because it's commentary.
Well, we're just pointing out
have-
things that we like.
Yeah,
You know?
in WWE, they don't have anyone on commentary who has any sports background or any proper,
Yeah.
fighting backgrounds, if you will. I think that Alex guy, Riyad Mahrez, sorry, he was actually an NFL commentator,
Oh,
so he's
nice.
probably used to breaking things down in slow motion and being like,
Yeah.
look at the foot here. Do you know who they should get to maybe do like a replay? They should get fucking. Do you know who Robin Black is?
No.
He's probably the greatest MMA. I don't know if he's a commentator, but I definitely know he does analysis. He does this thing called 1 minute videos where he breaks down like what happened before a knockout. This motherfucker's being like, look at that foot here. That foot is leading that guy to the corner, and that guy's moving progressively to the corner, and he's just putting his foot down. So we know when fighters aren't fighting, and I'm not an expert on fighting, but when they're just like doing the sort of the shuffle of the head and like the jiggling, they're not Val Venus, but you know what I mean. When they're angling for something, like there's a lot happening there as well. they're trying to like, cause they're trying to maybe put him in the corner, or like trying to maneuver them somewhere else, or get like some distance on. There's a lot going on, and that guy's fucking great. Which is again what I enjoyed about the Jericho thing. Yeah, that he literally, yeah, as you said, he like look at his hips here, look the way he
Yeah.
did his elbow, look the way he extended it, and he got full force and just knocked the fuck out of Omega.
Yeah, it's
Um,
important to be sold that story though. Like it really does add something to it.
And for a pay-per-view that had one championship match, I actually am going to go into the next one. I don't know if they're going to do TV tapings in the meantime. I doubt it until they probably have a few pay-per-views under their belt.
Yeah.
You had no champion crowned. You had no other titles even mentioned what kind of titles are going to be, women's division, blah, blah. But I'm still intrigued about that, like, with John Moxley coming in. So, yeah, the debut of John Moxley, I really liked how they did it because it reminded me of I suppose old WWE pay-per-views where the finish left you more intrigued. So
Yeah.
you can't do that all the time because you can't bait and switch all the time because obviously people want definitive finishes sometimes. But you had a finish, you had a promo, stuff was allowed to breathe, and then you had a debut.
That's gotta be John Moxley.
Moxley, Moxley, by God, Moxley. I love it. I love that. As soon as, by the way, this made me feel like it was like Nostalgia City when Moxley did the double arm DDT on top of the chips,
Yeah.
and Jared's like, "Get the EMTs out here now!" I'm like, "Yes, say it, Jim. To call for medical assistance, Jim."
I like the way
Love it.
he came out and he fucking beat up everything. It made me think I'm not really a big fan of Dean Ambrose. I think that he was by far the weakest member of the Shield, but I think that there's something bigger than the Shield about him that
Well,
only he could bring out. You know what I mean?
I agree, and this actually said this to the people I was watching it with. I said, now we get to find out if he's actually good.
Yes, yes,
Now
yes, yes.
we actually find out if he's like a bit sloppy, a bit clumsy, and that's the reason WWE booked him the way they did, or are we about to find out that WWE just had him completely wrong and he's actually a fucking great brawler and an all-around fantastic performer? Like, was he? Because sometimes you get this. Certain people, you get the impression that they were shackled.
Yeah, I don't get that with
And then,
Ambrose though. I think
and then,
Ambrose was given the free reign, really.
and then, like, or and the people get released, and you're like, actually, WB did you a fucking favor. They protected you. That you've been exposed. I'm not saying he'd be exposed because he's got solid fundamentals and he's had exciting matches. But can you really think of like a classic Dean Ambrose, like not the Shield stuff? Because obviously, even from the debut, the first Shield match, the TLC against Kane and Ryback and Daniel Bryan, like that. Even that match was amazing at TLC. I think it's like 2012. But is there any Dean Ambrose matches that are like that is a must see? Like go out of your way to watch this Dean Ambrose match that you can think of.
No, there are a lot of them that are actually hugely underwhelming. The one good
Brock.
one I can think of is the Hell in a Cell versus Seth Rollins. I think that was like, as far as they go, that was one of my favorite matches of his. His
Yes.
match with AJ Styles was alright. The hugely underwhelming ones though are Brock and Jericho in the fucking weapons stapled to a cage
Mm-hmm.
match, Lunatic Asylum, whatever it was. That match was hot garbage, and I feel
Brock,
like that.
Jericho, and Bray. Do you remember the one with Bray?
Oh Jesus Christ! Yeah.
Yes. Your dad was an alcoholic. Like what?
Uh,
That's all.
I,
By the way, I think that's all between 2014 and 2015, and the AJ stuff's a little bit later than that. But like,
yeah.
so now it's time to find out. Like, was it them restricting him and kind of putting the brakes and being like, listen, you can't go that hard because there's more people here,
It
or
couldn't be though, could it? Like, how could like? Can you think of any? Can you think of any other three potential matches for him to have free reign on the exact gimmick that he sold everybody on, other than those? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know, but there is. I've always said about Dean Ambrose that he is Stone Cold Steve Blackman, and it's like
Mhm.
my favorite like thing that I've ever come up with about a wrestler, because that's literally what he is. He's a mental like hardcore bastard going around hitting people with trash can lids and shit, but he's also like a brawler who will take it to the back, and he'll beat up heels, faces. It doesn't matter. He'll
Mm.
do, and he does it in that real sloppy way, kind of that Austin used to do as well. Where like
Yes.
when he stuns a bunch of people in the ring, and like half of his kicks didn't even connect with the midsection or even come close to it,
He's just
and
scrapping, like he's hitting
yeah,
anything that moves.
yeah,
So he's probably not like a sort of methodical, because like a lot of people would, I suppose, wanted him to go the more like, I've got this all planned out route, but that was more Seth Rollins even within that group.
hmm
And Dean was more the wild card, like he'll do anything, and you might not expect it. I think he had a decent match with Cena, by the way, did Ambrose for like the U.S. title like a few times, but
yeah,
not that he's a massive question mark. He does feel like a main eventer. He does have the aura. Very charismatic guy. He had it made in WWE probably for the rest of his adult life. And he took a chance. He's like, actually, you know what? Fuck this. I'm gonna go back or not go back, or just go somewhere else and see what I can
yeah.
do.
I do have mad
So,
respect for that.
so now we get to find out whether. And I'm not saying he's a massive question mark, but I have always had like these little like, why don't I like him as much as I'm supposed to like him almost? Now we get to
Yes,
find that out.
yeah,
So that's kind of exciting as well. I'm going to chalk that up to positive because we don't know if that's going to be shit or if his rumor's going to be shit or he's just not going to draw, whatever. So looking forward to that. A plus sign, it's good to see Chris Jericho still being the GOAT.
yep,
Okay. I think that Jericho is the greatest, but he's not in comparison to Austin or like the mega stars like Hogan. Chris Jericho is in a league of his own.
he's a Shawn Michaels.
Yes, he's
He
the veteran that can still go.
yes,
He's not protected. The guy's always taking a risk coming up with new gimmicks, and he always gets shit over,
yeah,
especially as a heel. Personal low point for me was in Chris Jericho's career was about 2012 when he kept coming back as a babyface for 2 weeks, then he'd fuck off for 2 months, and he'd come back for 3 months, and he had like the faux hawk, and he looked awful, and he was just spouting the old catchphrases and bullshit. I thought he was done then, and that was 7 years ago.
yeah.
So, yeah, prove me wrong and prove everybody else wrong. It's just amazing to see that he's still going, and nobody was going, Chris Jericho's almost 50. He doesn't belong in the main event. You just don't even think about that with him.
Yeah, agreed.
It looked great as well. So I like that. The Young Bucks match versus the Lucha Bros, I marked out. Should have been 25 minutes, maybe trim about 5 off, make it just 20, maybe just 21 flips instead of like 29.
Yeah. I was getting a bit fatigued by the end of it, to be honest. But like that, but that's not my scene though. I like, my favorite.
Do you like that stuff to be like once a year? Because the problem then is you then expect that out of everything and everybody, which I think is it's a weird middle ground where it's like, do hold back, but don't hold back too much, but maybe don't do every single move that you know, because now we're going to expect this. Or maybe they'll just meet up those expectations. I don't know.
Yeah, I have a I have a big problem with matches when the guys work together with like a strong choreography that they end up repeating over and over and over, and it just feels really fucking contrived to me when I see that, and I don't like it, but it's never been my style. Like I like hard hitting stuff. I like things that look technical. Like my favorite wrestlers to watch were always the likes of Benoit and Angle, and obviously like Goldberg and Triple H and stuff. But I just don't like the flippity flip hops.
How WCW of you?
Yeah.
I like but I get you. Obviously, not to undermine. Obviously, I do get the point of that, and yeah, there's something to be said about maybe because you had a lot of flippity doos as well in the SoCal match, and you had a bunch of them in the Angelico and Jack Evans versus the Best Buds. So I don't know, maybe just making it seem like these are the guys to see that do that shit, and everyone else just should try and. I don't know how you're gonna market that stuff because it plays with what you think pro wrestling is, as you said. Like you can see Benoit wrestling, and Benoit actually is one of the few people that has the ability to make it look like a fight, like he's fighting as well.
Yeah.
These guys don't look like they're fighting; they look like they're going through a routine sometimes.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like I think like even like we can exclude Benoit, who is obviously one of the greatest of all time, but like you've got people who do that legitimately in WWE, and it's like Sheamus is a great example, or even Daniel Bryan. He always looks like he's in a fight, like he's rough, he hits hard, but he does it in a obviously like a safe way. Yeah,
But I
it's
must
just
say, I haven't seen the Young Bucks way back in TNA in like 2010ish Generation Me, where they look like they look like the early Hardy Boys when they were jobbers,
yeah.
with like the multicolored sort of pants and clothes and stuff. Even though the Hardys probably wore that twice, but the TNA shouldn't have said. I think Russo was writing it, and they buried them, and then they left. So TNA had them, which is ridiculous. But like I did notice that they from 2010, which is the last time I properly watched them, they have slowed down, not in the number of moves, but they actually stop to appreciate the crowd at least after a few moves.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they're basking in the reaction and doing the little muscly man pose that they do. So they're clearly learning that, like, they can slow down and still do their shit, which I appreciated. At least they were doing that. But, yeah, so overall, are you likely to watch the next pay-per-view?
Jeez, man, that is like a surprisingly difficult question. Like what I said earlier, I think they played it safe in this one. I would like to see more risk taking, and I think I will continue to watch until I get a feel of what kind of thing this wants itself to
Actually
be.
is.
Yeah.
Yes. I think so as well, and I want to see little side note, something else I did like, Justin Roberts. Good to see him
Yeah,
announcing as
yeah,
well.
I agree, yeah.
He's I mean, again, he's a little bit like Marmite too. Either you like him going Jeff Hardy or you don't, but I thought he called pretty much everything quite well.
The
Um
Young Bucks! Weird,
yeah.
yeah.
He has a very, like, jazzy arrogance to sometimes when he calls certain things.
Yeah.
But I like him. He seems quite a decent, like a really nice guy actually as well. Um, I am gonna watch the next pay-per-view. Probably the day after it comes out because we are in the UK after all.
Yeah.
I think it fed the need to watch wrestling, and it didn't take me down watching current WWE, which I think it's just unwatchable. And it's not like
It's
so bad
bad.
it's good. It's just poor, and
Yeah.
that's the worst type. Like, I believe people are actually starting to get sick of Roman Reigns again. So somehow they managed to find a way to, like, annoy people again, despite what he's fucking gone through. And yeah, a bunch of other things there are wrong. So I think AEW, much like TNA had the opportunity to, they should try and fucking seize while WWE is at a lull. Because I don't know if they're kind of going after the NXT fans and then WWE fans, like the casuals, whatever casuals WWE has got left. But I think if they just brand themselves as different, and I know this is stating the obvious because why wouldn't you? Brand themselves as different, have their own guys, maybe because I think Tony Khan, who's like the owner of it, and the owner of Fulham, I think as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's like the New York Red Sox or something like that. I think that he said there will be certain guys who will be wrestling on the indies.
The
like
New York Red Sox?
Boston. I don't fucking the Texas
Rattlesnakes.
the Texas barbecue sauces. I don't fucking know. They've all the nuggets. He said that you will see the odd person wrestling in the indies, but for the most part, like, they do have contracts. They are our guys that we will lend out to other companies, and then in return maybe get some of their talent before anyone else. Which I think it's just a great idea. Because I know Dean Ambrose is going to New Japan at some point this year as well, which probably means that we're probably going to get a few Bullet Club people, or even just other Japanese like Okada and other general wrestlers in Japan. Which, again, you can set that separately and say we have our own storylines, our own roster, feuds that are happening here, but every now and then we can just bring in a guy, and unlike WWE, we're not bringing has-beens, we're bringing like current.
It cuts to the next pay-per-view and they bring in Scott Norton.
Yeah, says me with Glacier and Billy Gunn all them, but
Yeah.
they were in the pre-show and there was a reason for that. They just needed the bodies too. And I think Billy
Yeah.
Gunn is a coach, and so is Dean Malenko.
Yeah, yeah. Dean
But I
Malenko just
think,
signed recently, and Billy Gunn was one of their first signings.
yeah, which I think that's a great idea. Like you could bring in the best talent in the world and just say, look, as well as what we already have given to you by our company and all these amazing wrestlers, you will sometimes, and we'll obviously hype it, not hype it, depending. We'll also bring in like the New Japan champion or the whoever from
Mm-hmm.
either the Ring of Honor champion. Like they'll just bring them in for one night only thing, and that might lead into other things if they're over and it pops a rating. Like I think that talent exchange thing is something that WWE kind of didn't take advantage of at any point ever, because they did it with ECW, but they would just send like the absolute worst of the worst to ECW, and they basically then rated their roster for that. And WCW did it, but they never did it with any intention of pushing most of those people. So, Justin Liger came in, and obviously even Chris Benoit, when he first came in, he was technically a New Japan wrestler because he was the Pegasus Kid or something back there. I think they've got an amazing opportunity to actually follow through on that and be like, right, we get 3 guys this year. Let's make sure that they're the best guys, feature them, and everybody wins.
Yeah.
Every company wins. One company gets more exposure in the West. The other company gets those amazing wrestlers. That person then goes back and you follow them if you like them. And they might come back again because you've done that. Because they go, oh, hang on a minute, this guy's actually... A lot of people in the US want to see this guy again. So it's win-win. And I think that 2019 hasn't been the best year for wrestling in a giving a shit sense.
Yeah.
Talent-wise, like it's the most talented rosters you'll probably see in most companies ever.
Absolutely.
But the storytelling and interest levels and making things seem special was gone. And that's what I kind of liked, as I said earlier, about this night, is that it felt like you were watching something special. Irregardless of who's in and out of the ring, it felt like, wow, this is a thing. Holy shit. Like, I don't remember. This company is like a year old. And look at this. 13,000 people have turned up, and they chant for stuff, and they know who the people are mostly. They pop for stuff. And yeah, they've fucking done great. Like, they've started off, in my opinion, because, we're going to go into out of 10s here, but like, they, in my opinion, like the first half of the show was saved by the second half, and maybe for 3 hours it was better. But I'd still give it like at least a 6 out of 10 and go into 7, 8.
Yeah, I think I would give it a 6 because I am, like I said before, like I'm not the target audience for this. It hits on beats that I don't necessarily care about, or beats that aren't like necessarily appealing to me.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely intrigued to see where they go. It's just my reservation is that if this turns out to be a promotion that is just going to be the Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers doing flips around each other and things like that, I'm probably gonna not
Tap
watch
out.
it. Yeah, but if that's so weird, I was gonna say tap out as well. But if it's like, I was excited for the Adam Page and Neville match. Like if we could get things like that, I think that would be enough to kind of tempt somebody like me into it. Maybe if they
Yeah.
had just a couple more familiar faces in there, like Dean Ambrose is a huge deal. If they could get John Cena and Roman Reigns, no, I'm just kidding. But like it's for now, it's like something I'm tentatively excited about.
So, but you are intrigued by like, because I
Yeah.
suppose again, everything that they didn't show us, like you don't know anything about Kenny Omega. We all know that he's good, but who is he? Like, what's his career like? Where did he come from? What's his? I mean, I actually watched the video's entire career back, but they didn't tell me that. I had to go and look that up.
Yeah.
So, I feel more positive about this pay-per-view ending than probably all the current pay-per-views we've probably reviewed for this show since the beginning, where I don't think I was fucking buzzing after a showdown in Saudi Arabia.
You weren't buzzing after No Way Out 2001.
Exactly. Where are they going? Is Triple H and Michaels going to team up again against the Brothers of Destruction, or what's going on? Yeah. And I'm not going to be excited about this year's one either. I think that as I said, this company probably kicked off in the best way that they could. Like, again, we're talking about things after they happened. So for them, their vision, they've laid it out there. This said, this is who we are. Just continue to be that. Don't
Yeah.
pretend. Don't be like, what WWE liked. So if you like WWE, come see this. Like, just be bold. Because that's what got ECW over, and that's what got other companies over the years,
Yes. Be
Is
bold
they,
and just don't do the same fucking thing that
yeah.
TNA did when everyone in the world was screaming, don't do what WCW did,
Hmm.
and then they did what WCW did. Like, it cannot be that fucking difficult to just not do that, I don't think.
They picked TNA. They hit that terrible mix of hiring everyone ex WWE
Yep.
and then booking it like late stage WCW. Like,
Yep.
it's unbelievable. They managed to pick out the two shittest parts that they could.
Yep.
It's like, they went from hiring like Amazing Red and LAX and all these like, up and coming wrestlers. They
Uh,
had Punk there for a cup
they
of
had a
coffee.
fucking sensational roster. Like, I remember watching like this triple threat between Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, and AJ Styles.
Amazing. I've seen that. It's like 2005, 6, whatever.
Yeah,
And they main evented, and it was like, oh my god, look at this. X Division guys main eventing. TNA, We Are Wrestling. And then you hit it about 2007, and from between 2007 and about 2014, it's like, it's fucking Rob Terry, if you even know who that is. It's fucking Orlando Jordan.
yeah.
It's motherfucking Tyrus, your boy. Your boy Tyrus, Fox News correspondent, Brodus Clay.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, famously
sorry,
retweeted me.
yes, yeah, his name was Tyrus there, and he did fucking nothing. They just hired anybody who was remotely ex WWE. So AEW, of course, you can hire anybody anywhere who if they're good, but you don't want people to go, oh, yeah, yeah. Remember him? Yeah, oh, he looks bad. Oh, he's aged. Or
Yeah,
wasn't he someone at some point? Like, you don't want that because, yeah, that's what killed TNA. And people fucking stuck by TNA and they gave him. I mean, I did. Like, I stuck with TNA way after I should have fucking stuck with that company when they started painting the big. When Samoa Joe got kidnapped and he was part of this nation of violence and I don't know. But actually, best part about any TNA thing is when they hired Scott Steiner and he was just kept calling Samoa Joe fat. He's fat. Like that was like his whole. He hated him for no other reason. He was just fat. Like Samoa Joe, you're fat. Or Samoan Joel as he called him. But yeah, like TNA hired Kurt Angle. No one complained about that. AEW has Chris Jericho and John Moxley. No one's complaining about that.
yes.
But just don't think that the answer is those people. And I think the people who run it, they're intelligent enough to know this. It's whether or not they will panic halfway and be like, oh, can we get a big name from WWE quickly or something? So,
Yeah.
no Baron Corbin. Please.
Yeah, or no, that fucking South African guy doing a conga line down to the ring. What the fuck was that guy's name?
Oh, no way.
No, not
Oh,
him.
Adam fucking. Russell Brand wannabe.
Yes.
Adam. I'm thinking of a cod.
Yes, that's correct.
Wasn't it Adam Avocado? Didn't he run for UKIP
Yeah,
recently?
that's right.
Where
That's him.
politics.
Um,
Yeah. So none of that, and they'll be fucking fine.
yeah.
So yes, we may or may not review possible future AEW events. Depends what people like this. If they don't, I'd be up for doing at least one more pay-per-view if you are.
Me too, definitely.
Yeah, so we can promise you at least one more show of AEWs, and probably if they ever debut on TV this year, probably take a look at that. So hopefully their TV show will be no more than 2 hours.
Yeah, I would actually find if they started into a TV show route, I would find that very interesting because it would be far easier for them to build up stories, and it would be way easier for someone like me to get engrossed in the characters that they plan on showcasing. So, if they were to do that, I would be way more excited than I am right now.
Yeah, spot on. So yeah, not a full home run, but they did probably get to around third base in terms of of what I got out of it, you know? But yes, as always, let us know your thoughts out of your mind brain. Did you like it? Did you watch it? Did you hate it? Did you think that Goldust is a beautiful man? Like, any old thoughts about this, let us know.
Yeah, do tell us.
Yes. I think that's pretty much everything, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this is a good place to call it. Let the curtains fall on this spectacle of immense commentary that we have just provided. And we'll see you guys next time. And we don't have a schedule, so we'll see you when we see you.
And don't forget to like, subscribe for the no schedule. But there'll be some exciting stuff coming.
There definitely will be.
I
And I can say this: there is definitely stuff coming.
Stuff will happen.
Yes.
So yes, thank you very much for listening. It's a goodbye from me, and it's a goodbye from El De Niro. Well, actually, did you want to say goodbye? You can tell him to fuck off if you want.
I used to do this thing on my channel back in the day where I would end a video and I would say, I've been El De Niro, fuck this, and then it would just end and it was good. So I think we should just do that.
Say that now here. So it's like the last. All right, goodbye everybody, and fuck this.
Yeah. Fuck all of you. Nah, just kidding. But fuck some of you for
Just
sure.
the haters. All right. Peace.
Peace.
There you go.
And I won't be denied, 'cause all I've got left is my pride. And I will rise up, break it up, break it down, break it rules, break it ground. Like a chance, now it's gone. A new day, a new dawn.